Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the last few years, I've read several books about emotions and the emotional state of our body in order to help myself recover from chronic pain. So in this video, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've learned about our cultural understanding, our scientific understanding, and our psychological understanding of the power of emotions. One of the most mind-blowing things I've ever read about emotions is the research from Dr. Feldman Barrett, where she talks about emotions as being the translation of certain physical sensations in the body. This is connected to the idea that we are experiencing certain neurotransmitter surges or certain hormonal surges or absences of those neurotransmitters or hormones, and then we experience certain sensations in our bodies. And because our brains don't have language in the specific way of saying, oh, this is just because I'm feeling a low dopamine level, or I have an overabundance of oxytocin coursing through my bloodstream, our brains can't give us that information. So instead, it interprets the various sensations, and we often choose culturally specific labels in the form of emotion words. And for people who are not really in touch with their emotions and their sensations, it often can be a very difficult thing to do, to go into your own body, to slow down and pay attention to those sensations, to recognize those sensations and what labels you may have subconsciously put on them, and what emotions are coming up as a result of your brain's sometimes incorrect interpretation of those sensations. So while Feldman Barrett's research is all about emotions and sensations and how the body labels them based on the cultural context, I personally found that really helpful in my recovery from chronic pain, because after reading books like The Way Out by Alan Gordon and Alon Ziv, learning about the concepts of neuroplastic pain and how TMS and other forms of chronic pain or chronic symptoms is often related to the experience of emotions, and for me personally, emotion repression in my body. So there are these emotion sensations that are being interpreted by my brain in such a way that the subconscious understanding leads me to experience resistance to those emotions. When I was in chronic pain, I was also feeling a lot of repressed emotions like fear, anxiety, overwhelm, self-criticism, shame, and even anger. Anger, I would say, was the main emotion that I felt most resistant to looking at and to recognizing in my own body. And it was only in looking at that emotion, learning how to process it, learning how to feel safe feeling angry, that I have been able to recover from chronic pain. For many people that I've spoken with and in many accounts that I've read, fear is the emotion that the brain often jumps to when we experience certain sensations that we would then label as painful sensations. Frankly, brains are bad translators. We experience physical sensations because we're human beings with human bodies, and our brains don't have the kinds of words or language to describe what's going on. And so to try to get our attention, brains will send us certain messages related to our emotions. For many people, if they experience things like pain or other symptoms, the main emotion that the brain will create is a perpetual state of fear and anxiety. And sometimes it just starts off as fear that something is wrong, and that's the brain's best attempt to try to convey that information. But what happens is, over time, brains repeat that message: I'm experiencing sensations and you're not paying attention, so I'm gonna make those sensations higher and higher, stronger and stronger, louder and louder. That builds in that neural pathway in the brain, whereby after we've recovered from whatever initial incident if it was an injury, or if we just had a bad night's sleep, or we had a migraine as a result of some reaction that we had to something, then our brains can keep repeating that message long after the inciting incident has passed or the initial injury has healed. And that is one of the ways that brains create chronic pain or other chronic symptoms, is repeating those neural pathways of sending that message that something is wrong and something is dangerous. This is why it's so important to send your brain messages of safety around your emotions and around your sensations. You can do this whether you experience pain or whether you're just experiencing an emotion that you feel some resistance to whenever you're telling yourself, I shouldn't feel this way. A really powerful tool to reduce that level of resistance and fear is to send your brain messages of safety. And I talk more about that in this video. This happens with biological cues a lot of the time too. I have found that when I have started learning this process of getting in touch with my emotions and understanding the messages behind those emotions, it's sometimes something as simple as, oh, I was feeling sad and I was feeling hopeless, but actually I'm just cold and I need to put on some socks and turn on the heating in my home. I am somebody who experiences a high level of anxiety, and oftentimes that anxiety is my brain trying to tell me that I need to attend to some physical biological needs, like I need to stop what I'm doing, I need to eat some food, I need to drink some water. It sounds like really cliche self-care advice to take a drink of water, but sometimes when our brains are in this fear, something is wrong, danger, high alert state, it's actually our brain's very clumsy way of saying, hey, I need you to pay attention. There's a need that needs to be addressed. And finally, I want to invite you to think about your emotions as potentially habitual thought patterns. Now, we don't fully understand the relationship between thoughts and feelings. Some people would argue that thoughts create feelings in the body, or thoughts lead to certain emotional sensations being created in the body. Other people would argue that it's the other way around, that we have emotions or physical sensations in our bodies that arise and then we label them with certain thoughts. It's important to pay attention to the emotional sensations and the thoughts, because we can often start to see a relationship between certain emotional states and certain thoughts that we have. Often those thoughts are ones that are not pleasant to have, and that might be related to, if you're someone who experiences chronic pain, they might be some habitual thought patterns that are recreating those sensations in your body. So for many people, like I said before, the emotion of fear arises when they have a sensation. If you're a person like me who has experienced chronic back and, for me, leg pain, if I have a sensation, a little twinge or a slight sensation of pain in my lower back, then if I'm not paying close attention to that habitual thought pattern where my brain is going to start to panic and think things like, oh no, I must have slept on it wrong, or oh no, I'm gonna be in pain, or oh no, it's coming back, because I'm somebody who has more or less resolved my chronic pain and I live a pain-free life, and I hope that you are somebody on your way to that path as well. But I start to pay attention to the thoughts that arise when I experience certain emotion states, whether that's fear, anxiety, overwhelm. I have learned recently how to start paying attention to more positive emotional states and to notice the thoughts that I have that are associated with those positive emotional states, like when I'm feeling that warm, rising sensation of love in my chest, and I feel a sense of connectedness to either another person or sometimes like an activity that I'm doing. I feel that sensation when I'm doing something that I love to do. I like to pay attention to what thoughts am I thinking right now, because regardless of the chicken or the egg situation of thoughts and feelings, which comes first, I can use that thought to call up that sensation in my body. So if I'm doing something and I'm feeling a sense of excitement, enthusiasm, I'm feeling connected to other human beings, I'm feeling a sense of common humanity, I might take a look at what are the thoughts, you can even do this at a later date, what are the thoughts that I was thinking when I was feeling that sensation, and start to connect the thought with the sensation. If it's one that you enjoy feeling, then practice thinking that thought on purpose. This is sometimes called an intentional thought. It's different than an affirmation where you look in the mirror and you say, I am smart, I am capable, I can do anything I put my mind to. Affirmations work for some people, but what a lot of people find is there is no internal emotional resonance. And so they might say these things in the mirror or write them in their journal and feel nothing. And so it doesn't have the effect that is intended. Then pay attention to the thoughts that you're thinking at that moment, because you can often translate those into other scenarios, especially scenarios where you want to feel differently. I am not advocating for us trying to eliminate quote unquote negative emotions, because I don't believe that that's A, possible, or B, even a worthwhile goal. Negative emotions, or ones that we label as negative, can be really beautiful and empowering, and they can be powerful guides in life to help us with our self-awareness and all of our bigger questions of who am I and what do I want and what do I care about. So I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that we can pay attention to the physical sensations in our body and use that as an opportunity to either connect the thought and feeling state that we want to have, to connect to that thought and feeling state, or we can recognize when we're in a thought feeling state that isn't serving us and is actually making us feel greater levels of suffering, particularly when it comes to suffering such as being in pain, whether that pain is physical pain or emotional pain of self-criticism, self-rejection, and shame. So my invitation to you is, as you go about your day, pay attention to the physical sensations in your body. What emotions can you label from those physical sensations? And what thoughts are you thinking that either arose from or perhaps were the cause of that emotion state? And share them below. If you want to learn more about how you can use the power of emotional leverage in order to achieve the life of your dreams, or even just to reduce your suffering if you're someone with chronic pain or other chronic symptoms, then I've got a few open spots for some new one-on-one clients, and I would love to work with you. So check out the link below and grab a spot on my calendar if you want to chat more about how you can use the power of your emotions. Thanks for watching.